This video, I'm going to be talking about how you know if you're doing the right thing. Some really good questions here, really important questions I think that you're going to want to hear the answer to about trusting the process and how do you know if you're doing the right thing, if that process that you're trusting is going to work. What do you do if it's wrong? You know, and if you shouldn't focus on the results, what's the point of trusting the process or doing anything anyway? I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, to get the physique you want, get the girls that you want, and go from the victim mindset to what I call the bulldog mindset. If that sounds like something you are all about, click that subscribe button and join us on our quest here. This is from Vab, and Vab says that I see John talk about the concept of trusting the process, but I'm really conflicted on that idea. How do you know that the process you're trusting is going to work? If you trust the process when results aren't coming up, how do you know what the reason is? Is it because you're not sticking to it long enough, or is it that the process you're executing is wrong? This is key. And we don't do things for the results. We disconnect, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but we don't focus on the results. Now, obviously we want results in life. Pretend like I am the future you for most of you. All of those goals that you pursued in life and that you achieved, the money, the hot girls that you had sex with, whatever it was, the fame, the running the marathon in some great time, whatever your goals were, those were not the important things. In fact, you were disappointed. In fact, you became depressed after you achieved those goals because you thought that those were the things that you were after. But all hope is not lost, because the pursuit of those goals is what made you the man that you are today. It is the thing that built you. It is the thing that forged you out of the fire. And that is what you should have been after all along. You don't understand this now. I know that you don't understand this now. It's fine. But realize that someday you will understand that the goal is not the thing. I can say this from a man who's been successful in many areas. I've made millions of dollars in multiple areas, traveled the world, all kinds of things. I've achieved so many of the goals that I set out in life. Those were not the things that made me happy, but it was the pursuit of those. That's the pursuit of those things, the challenge, and I'm still going after things, is what is important. We're after what going after the result makes us into. What we become. Ultimately in life, our purpose in life is to grow. Worry about the process that grows you. The result is just the target. It's just the thing that you're aiming at so that you can have a direction so that you can grow. Because that's ultimately what you're after, right? I know some of you are shaking. You don't believe it's okay. I get it. I don't want you to be the person who makes $1 million. Let's put that as a goal. I want you to be the person who's capable of making $1 million. Why? It's like teaching a man to fish versus feeding him fish. If I give you $1 million, I know I said I would stop on this rant, but I'm not. If I give you $1 million, what value are you? You can't recreate that. You might think it'll make you happy and it'll be great, but you haven't earned it. There's no value. You don't get to brag about it. Or are you going to tell people I am a millionaire? Good. They'll say, how did you make your $1 million? John Sonmez gave it to me. Do you want one of my medals? You want one of my marathon medals? I'll give you that too. And then someone will say, oh, wow, did you run a marathon? And you'll say, nope. John Sonmez gave it to me. He gives a lot of shit away to people. It has no fucking value. Do you understand? It has no value. So what has value? If the goal is not the thing that has value, what has value? What you put in to achieve the goal. The person you became, the runs you did when you didn't want to, the pain you fucking endured to become the person who grabbed the medal, who got it themselves, who got the $1 million, who got the girl, who got the Lamborghini because they fucking earned it. Now we'll move on. How do you know that the process you're trusting is going to work? It's key. It's key that what you do is you figure out a process that can't possibly fail or has a very low probability of failing. When you create a process, think about overkill. There's a really good book, I'll put a link in the description, by Grant Cardone called the 10X Rule. Now, the reason why that book is so good, the key thing you need to understand here, is that you need to, if you think a goal is going to require you 2 hours and $100, assume it's going to require you 10x that. The reason why a lot of people fail is because their process is the minimum of what they need to get by. Let's say that you're building a rocket ship to go to the moon. How much fuel do you put in the tank? Enough to just get to the moon? I don't think so. When you're designing a process for what you're trying to accomplish, make it so that it can't possibly fail. If you create a process like that, you will succeed as long as you follow it. You have to make it so that there's very little chance of failure. If you trust a process when results aren't coming up, how do you know what the reason is? Is it because you're not sticking to it long enough, or that the process you're executing is wrong? This is a good question. Assume it will take a minimum of 5 years. If you're not willing to commit 5 years, then get the fuck out of here. Now, it might take less than that, I know, but 5 years is what you need to be mentally ready to commit to. If you have done the homework and you've thought of a good process, you're giving up too easy. Most people give up way, 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 way too easy. Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Your brain is a heat-seeking missile that seeks success. If you tell your brain that you want something and you go after it, it will figure out, it will navigate, it will course correct along the way like a fucking heat-seeking missile to what your destination, what your goal is. And so, with that in mind, if you pursue something long enough and you're following a process, and your process has some course correction in it, like a homing missile, you will eventually hit it, but you need enough time. It doesn't always mean that the process you're executing is right. Anytime that you do something, there's a percentage luck and there's a percentage skill, and you need to know when you win what the percentages were. Did you win mostly because of luck or mostly because of skill? And when you lose, the same thing. Sometimes shit will go wrong due to no fault of your own. Just fucking luck. Sorry. Sometimes shit will go right, the process that you're following, due to no skill of your own. Just fucking luck. You could be on the wrong process. You need to check in. If you have done the work up front to define a really good process and your process is good, then you know that you just have to follow that fucking thing. If you pick the right process because you thought about this and you 10x it, it'll probably work out, but it might be an exponential growth curve. Now, with that said, you can be doing the totally wrong process. Okay, you got to use your brain here. All right, if you're getting negative results or absolutely wrong results, all right, if you have new information that tells you that the process isn't correct, then you might have to kill it and course correct. But most of the time, this isn't the case. Do the research up front. Okay, and I can tell you, right, if you think that it's not working, you're probably wrong. If you came up with the idea and you think that this should work and you're doing just faithfully execute the process. Okay, that's why you can't focus on the results, because if you keep looking at the results, you're going to feel like it's not working, and there's a lot of shit that you're not going to be able to notice it. Rather than killing the process, let the process evolve a little bit. Okay, squish it between your fingers a little bit and feel it. And let that evolve. Don't just give up on it. Don't just say it's not working. All right, unless it's very, very clear that it's not working. But how do we prevent all this? Is up front. Up front, we come up with the good process. A good poker player, though, does this. They play the most correct poker possible, regardless of the results that they achieve. They play by the odds. They know the math. They do the right action every time. It doesn't always guarantee results. Sometimes the deck is stacked against you, literally. Sometimes, in poker, you may have a 20% chance of winning the hand. But you put your money in the pot anyway. Why? Because you're getting what's called expected value, a positive EV, expected value. It means that maybe there's so much money in the pot that even if you're only going to win 1 out of 5 times, you risk the money and you make the bet anyway, because the 1 out of 5 times that you win, you'll win 10 times more money than the 4 out of 5 times that you will lose. Does that make sense? So you are ahead. This is how life is. So you got to just execute on the process. Most of the time you don't know. Most of the time it's the upfront. Most of the time it's because you haven't done it long enough. Most of the time it's because you gave up. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs some guidance and help in their life, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.